don't know if you guys realize this, but in just the last 3 weeks of Bible Bookworm, we've learned about 1/3 of the books of the Bible. Wow, let's review. We've learned about the books of the law. We've also learned the books of history. And then last week, we took a look at the books of poetry and wisdom. We looked at Job and Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Songs. Way to go, guys. We're in the back part of the Old Testament now. And over the next couple of weeks, we're going to learn about 17 more books written by prophets. Prophets were men chosen by God to deliver special messages to God's people. Some of these messages were joyful and filled with good news. And unfortunately, some of the messages were warnings from an angry God who was unhappy with the way his people had rebelled against him. And some of these messages were hopeful reminders of God's love. In dark and trying times, they reminded the people that God still loves them and he would always forgive them if they turned from their sins. The first 5 of these books are called the major prophets, and the last 12 are the minor prophets. Anyone play baseball? Well, no, major and minor are not comments on how well they could swing a baseball bat. But the books in the major prophet section tend to be longer than those in the minor prophet section. They were written by 4 different men. The 4th man's name is Daniel, and he's probably one of the best known of the major prophets. Well, because he led a rather exciting life. Daniel was constantly being tested, finding himself in one challenging situation after another, where he had to choose obedience to God over possible doom. Daniel's life reminds us that when we are faithful to God, he will remain faithful to us. Let's check out this video together from Saddleback Kids. It's all about Daniel. And then we are going to practice our memory verse together.
Stories of the Bible. Daniel in the Lion's Den. This is Daniel.
Oh, hey!
Who was a Jewish man who was taken to Babylon when he was very young.
Yeah.
Daniel loved God and followed God's rules. He talked to God 3 times a day and asked God for help often. Daniel served in the Babylonian king's court for many years.
Yeah, I know him.
And under many kings.
Hey, Daniel.
Daniel always proved himself to be more capable than all the other court officials.
Thanks. Well, anytime.
Daniel was serving under King Darius, and because of his great abilities, the king made plans to place him in charge of the entire empire.
Wow, okay.
The other court officials searched for some fault in Daniel, but they couldn't find anything wrong with him. He was faithful, responsible, and completely trustworthy.
Wait!
The court officials realized the only way to get at Daniel would be to challenge his faith.
Come on!
So they went to King Darius
Excuse me, Your Majesty.
and advised him to make a law that for the next 30 days, any person who prays to anyone except King Darius will be thrown into the lion's den.
I like it.
King Darius signed this law, and once a Babylonian king signed a law, it could not be overruled. When Daniel learned of this law, he went home and knelt down, as he always did, to pray in his room with the windows open towards Jerusalem. He prayed 3 times a day, just as he always had done, giving thanks to God and asking for his help. The officials went to Daniel's house and found him praying.
Gotcha!
They went to the king and reminded him of the law.
I remember.
Well...
Then they said that Daniel had been found praying to God 3 times a day.
What?
When the king heard this, he was very upset,
Get over here.
and he spent the whole day trying to think of a way to save Daniel.
Wait, what?
By that evening, the court officials came back to the king and reminded him that no law signed by the Babylonian king could be overruled. So at last, the king gave orders for Daniel to be thrown into the lion's den. The king said to him, "May your God, who you serve faithfully, rescue you." Then the lion's den was sealed shut with Daniel inside. The king spent the night fasting and couldn't sleep. Then very early in the morning, the king hurried to the lion's den. He called out,
Hey, Daniel.
Was your God able to rescue you from the lions? And Daniel answered, Long live the king! My God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths so that they would not hurt me, for I have been found innocent in his sight. The king was overjoyed and ordered that Daniel be taken out of the lion's den. Then the king ordered the men who had schemed against Daniel to be thrown into the lion's den as punishment. Daniel was safe. There was not a scratch on him, for he trusted in God.
Y'all, wasn't that such a great lesson? I love learning about Daniel and everything that he did. Being thrown into the lion's den, that is crazy. That would be super scary, wouldn't it, if you just were thrown into a lion's den? Yeah, it'd be really scary, but we'd all be safe, right? Because God is always with us and he would definitely protect us. So now it's time to practice our memory verse. Who knows the memory verse right now? Well, even if you don't, that's okay, because we're going to keep practicing. We have so many weeks to learn the memory verse. All right, I want you guys to repeat this after me. Say, every word of God is perfect. He is like a shield for those who trust in him. He keeps them safe. Proverbs 35. Awesome job, y'all. You did such a great job. Keep working on memorizing that verse. And now it's time once again to stand up, and we're going to do our Books of the Bible songs. So I need everyone to spread out, get ready to dance.
Let's learn the books of the Bible, the books that you should know. Let's learn where they are, hide them in your heart. Let's learn the books of the Bible,
Books of the Bible.
the books that you should know. Let's learn where they are, hide them in your heart. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy.
Say Joshua.
Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st Chronicles, 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah.
Keep going.
Esther, Job, and Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations.
Yeah.
Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah.
All right. Say Jonah, Micah, Nahum.
Jonah, Micah, Nahum.
Habakkuk, Zephaniah.
Habakkuk, Zephaniah.
Haggai, Zechariah.
Haggai, Zechariah.
Malachi.
Malachi? Let's learn the books of the Bible, the books that you should know. Let's learn where they are, hide them in your heart. Let's learn the books of the Bible, the books that you should know. Let's learn where they are, hide them in your heart. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, and Romans.
1 Corinthians, go.
1 Corinthians.
What?
2 Corinthians.
Yeah.
Galatians. Ephesians. Philippians. Colossians. 1 Timothy. 2 Timothy.
Say Titus, Philemon.
Titus. Philemon.
Say Hebrews.
Hebrews.
James.
James.
1 Peter, 2 Peter.
1 Peter. 2 Peter.
Say 1 John, 2 John, 3 John.
1 John. 2 John. 3 John.
Scream Jude.
Jude. Revelation. Let's learn the books of the Bible, the books that you should know. Let's learn where they are, hide them in your heart. Let's learn the books of the Bible,
Books of the Bible.
the books that you should know. Let's
That's
learn
right.
where they are.